friends, hello brothers and sisters. My name is Fran, founder of Cacao, and today I'm talking to Tracy-Lee about her experience during our Cacao training, which she completed last year. She did level 1 and 2 with us. This is our signature online. And just ignite the spirit of the conversation, the spirit of the space. Let's see. So Trace, if you are there we go. Let's accept you. You are accepted into the IG Live. And let's see, sometimes we just need a moment for things to log on both sides. Welcome everyone that's joining. We'll do this again, Trace. So let's just put the candle down and get this going. I'm going to try one more time to invite you, and if you could just do the same on your side, just request to join. Okay. Now, Trace, maybe just try one more time on your side. Otherwise, we'll just try start it again. Okay. Nothing happening on this end, so I'm going to. There we go. Almost in the call.
Technology.
This close. Technology. We can be grateful that we have it. We can be grateful that we have it because here we sit. Welcome, welcome, sister. I have a little candle here. I have my cacao, and I'm so grateful that we managed to put the time aside to chat. So thank you very much for being here. And hello, everybody that's joining live. And hello, everybody that's going to be listening to the recording. So, Trace, before we get started, I'm just going to invite us into the same space. You're welcome to put the hands on the heart or in prayer. Keep the eyes open or closed. Anybody that's watching, just to do the same. Taking 3 breaths into the space together. The first breath, just to settle yourself in, feel the body, ground down, connect. The second breath, just to acknowledge the spirit of the space that we share, the virtual connection and the container, welcoming ourselves into the circle, this conversation. And the third breath, just to acknowledge the world around us, the seen and unseen support that we have, nature, people, animals, plants, spirit, and into the space, calling in Mama Cacao. They should be present in our hearts as we speak about the Cacao training. Just taking another breath or two if you need. I'm just going to have a sip of my cacao here.
Cheers, Franny.
Ah, beautiful. I almost used my coconut cup as well. It's like, I wonder if Tracy-Lee is going to use her coconut cup as well.
I couldn't not join and not have cacao and not have my coconut cup. So.
I'm kind of feeling like a little bit underdressed now, cup-wise. I mean. So, Trace, for those who don't know you, I mean, I know you pretty well by now, but maybe you just want to give a few words, anything that's in your heart that you would like to just introduce yourself as.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on this live session. I think after leaning into cacao or maybe finally answering the calling, I've just found that I've been able to really not only drop into my heart a lot easier, but to also open up to, I guess, finding my voice a little bit more in this space, in this world, in this place. And yeah, it's been quite a blessing. It's so interesting. You don't always think that something like cacao can really tap into different parts of your body and open up different channels. And yeah, I've been able to find my voice in many different aspects of my life through the journey within and deepening into it. And yeah, here I sit with cacao and I almost drink it daily. It's been a couple of months since I have journeyed with you, and it's really also opened me up into moving into the ceremony space, and sharing space, and yeah, sharing, I guess, what it is to be alive and connected in society these days. I feel like we're so connected, and yeah, it's really a pull towards connecting more with ourselves, connecting more with other people, and connecting more with the planet through that. So thank you.
Thank you. I love that. Ditto everything you've said, and that was very much my journey with hearing the call, as you so beautifully put as well. So for those who haven't done the training, they don't know that we have it in level 1 and level 2, and what you've been referring to a lot here is actually what we cover in level 2, you know, the voice activation. And of course, that kind of starts whenever we're ready in life. It doesn't have to happen in a training on a certain level. We just put those levels there as phases. But perhaps you could talk us through your process as much as you would like to share. Obviously, you don't have to give the whole story of things, but how the progression was from when you entered into the container, learning for yourself, learning about cacao for yourself, and then stepping into the space of now wanting to hold others. And still just within the container of cacao, anything that was noticeable for you, apart from the voice activation, any highlights there in particular?
Yeah, well, I first decided I was going to do the training when I was in Kenya last year, and it all happened quite quickly, which was beautiful. But I remembered the first night, like sitting in a tent in the middle of nowhere, connected to Starlink, with some cacao that Ellis had brought in from South Africa, and just really not really knowing what I was getting into, because I'd always loved chocolate and I'd always been fascinated with cacao. And then just as the journey started unfolding, you know, just seeing what activated inside of me, and like really understanding that cacao is deep medicine. So through the journey of level 1, learning more about cacao and learning more about, you know, how it's farmed, and the ethical practices of finding ceremonial grade cacao, because you know, I'm definitely very much for environmental practices, and that's a business that I've started. So having that sort of alignment, and also going, oh wow, there's a lot more connected and a lot more touch points that I'm starting to notice that are playing out like within the training, and then finding the mirror of that outside in my life. And each week what I really loved was our in-person sessions that we had, and then being able to self-study outside of that, through the online platform that you have with the different resources that you put together. That was really, really helpful, because it's like you get this little injection of a community where we all get to share and kind of bounce ideas with each other, and then and hear your wisdom of cacao kind of imparted through onto us. And then we get to take that and further develop on it, you know, by kind of what piques our curiosity and what doesn't. Because for some people, maybe they're really interested in kind of the scientific elements behind it, you know, and like more of the deeper theory. And for other people, it's more of like the esoteric components that is pulling them to this. So kind of having these different touch points throughout, and then being able to lean into, you know, what is calling me out of the cacao from that. I really enjoyed that aspect. And then going into the level 2, and like really feeling us dropping down a level and dropping in, you know, into our space, into our shared vessel that we held in the container that we had of the group of people that we had. That was really beautiful. And then, like, you know, starting to learn about shadow work, and, you know, through the studies that I do with the school of thought, you know, we play with philosophy and psychology. So like, again, starting to notice how things are weaving together in a different kind of sentiment, and, you know, having that active observation in your day-to-day life, I think is really important, because it's one thing for us to be like, cool, I want to do shadow work, but when there's a prompt, and there are prompts that you are providing where you're able to do it in a way that, you know, helps and assists you on the way to doing so, it gives different outcomes. I guess the final part of the journey with microdosing on cacao was great, because I've microdosed on mushrooms before, and I've definitely felt the benefits. But the skeptic in me was definitely out, because I'm just like, I love chocolates. And like, okay, cool, we're gonna microdose on cacao. And I was really taken aback by what came through in that 2-week period of sitting intentionally with the plant medicine, with meditating in the morning, and with allowing that to really take me forwards into the time when I facilitated my first ceremony. And yeah, I was I still don't have the words for it quite clearly, but it was profound and it was really beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah, it's such a lovely part of the training for me as well, that part of the dieta that you're referring to. And you know, everybody can just dip their toe in, know about it in a kind of a theoretical context, and then if they feel called to do it in the future outside of the training container, they can do it. But it's really nice if you feel called to do it while you're still in the training, because that build up then to be able to hold yourself alongside the medicine when you're holding that ceremony at the end of the training is just, yeah, it's really, really special in its own way. And you decided to do it for a long time, which is really cool, because I think, like myself, having a scientific kind of orientated mind, there is going to be the skeptic, and I think it's healthy. I think that's healthy to just not just take blindly, right, and follow something blindly. To question it, to do a little bit of your own research, to try it out, and it's all safe. And again, that checking that you're referring to as well, just to know that you're in the context of the group. So like the journal prompts, for example, or anything that you are asked to do every week as a home practice. So that's cool. So Trace, I know you were traveling quite a lot during the training, and it seems to be lifestyle as well for you to travel quite a bit. How did you find the pace then? Because they're, you know, like if I didn't know about the training and I just heard your share now, I'd be like, oh, that sounds like so much. I can't fit that in. I've got a very busy schedule.
Yeah.
So how did you find that for you, already having a busy schedule plus travel on that?
Yeah, I was a bit worried initially because I tend to put a lot on my plate. It's an active practice to take things off so that I can digest a little bit. But yeah, I actually found that the pace was great because the components of the weekly one meeting check-in a week, you know, gave the steps for, you know, what we were moving into. So closing off from the week before and then moving into what we were moving into the next week. And the self-study in between is completely at leisure. So you can do it or you can not do it. It's up to you. And there's as much as you want to find in that space or as little as you want to find. So I feel like it's completely up to the individual what they want to get out of it. And I definitely think that there was sufficient amount to, you know, take it slowly and still get through what you provided. But on the other side of it also, you know, enough that if you just wanted to skim the rock on the surface, you still got a very good understanding of cacao, the studies, the teaching, the practices, and how to facilitate and hold space through the journey of cacao.
Yeah, cool. That's good to know. It's good to hear from somebody else as well.
Yeah.
And you know, I always find that it's something, of course, we can come back to. But personally, for me, because everybody has access to the material then for quite a while after the training ends. But I'm the kind of person that wants to do it within that time frame, because that's the container, that's how there's that support energetically as well. And then life kind of carries on afterwards. But that it's the fact that you've sat in a group context. And what I also end up saying to people quite a lot, I don't know if you find this in the space that you hold, is to take that pressure off of having to do it, like put the bar so high, have to show up to everything. And then if you do, it's like, oh yeah, bonus. You know, if you get through all the information, you get bonus. If you do all the home practices, bonus. But it's enough actually just to be part of and to show up, like dip your toe in again, I end up saying that. And I'm just mentioning this because you are one of those participants who really dived head on in and is still processing quite a lot from that. So either way, I think this is, you know, the training is, it's merely just a start. So I really, I like what you just said there right in the beginning, and I appreciate that you say you're still kind of trying to allow the integration or feel the integration of the ceremony that you held. So would you mind sharing a little bit of the process, like building up to that particular part of the training, which was pretty much the end, and kind of how that's transitioned then outside of the training into your day-to-day life or holding ceremonies now? Just to speak generally to that.
Yeah, I think Sitting with the cacao and going on the dieta for the 2 weeks in preparation for the ceremony was very interesting because it allows for intention with and attention, intention and intention with working with the plant medicine of cacao. And it allows for a dialogue, an unspoken dialogue to kind of develop through that, which I felt was really interesting. And then going into the ceremony, or preparing for the ceremony at least, was kind of like a surrender, firstly, into not having to control things. And going back to what you just said, is that, we we as humans are so prone to kind of grab onto things and to lay our violent hands. I love saying violent hands because we do as humans, we kind of like catch on things and fix things and like it must be a certain way, and we live in a society where we like always pressured to have this like level of perfectionism that we have to achieve. And that surrender into getting out of the mind and softening and dropping into the heart was such a softening, but in that like such a strength that I kind of was able to access, because like, wow, when you can lead from the heart, you're not sitting here thinking, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What are these people expecting me to say? And it's just like when you're purely led from that space, which is an active practice on an ongoing basis, then it just allows for authenticity to come through, and it allows for something else to speak through you. So I mean, I'm definitely not someone who writes a script. When I do, then I'm like, where am I? What am I going to say? So I kind of allowed for the impromptu aspect to be filled out, and had a framework which you really, like, you assisted us with, especially with that mentorship session that we were able to have with you to take you through the way that we were going to run through the ceremony before. And I found that really beneficial to bounce ideas and to get your insight into it, and to know kind of where I am with the flow of it, and then to trust that what is going to come through will come through. So like having the perfect amount of preparation and surrender to like kind of meet in the middle. And yeah, I was at the end of the ceremony, I was almost like, what just happened after my first ceremony? Because it really was. It was like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. And it's not even about me. It's like, I don't know, we could do that, because in ceremony space, you're co-creating. So like all the participants sit there and add their value energetically and through what they contribute from physically, emotionally, and that's what holds the vessel and creates the vessel for the healing that we are working for with medicine.
Well, I wish I had just like recorded this in a different way, because that's like that's it. That's exactly it. Those words right there. And my language on that is the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It's exactly it. We do have to plan. We do have to know what's coming next. We have to have some kind of a structure. That's the holding that allows for the flow within, that you're talking about, just the impromptu nature. But you don't just show up and impromptu everything, right? There is a plan. It's thought through. And the active practices every day of our life. It's not just like we do a training and we go with what we've been given on the training. Our life experience comes into it. Other modalities we've kind of learned from or still practicing. The ceremony is so much part of life. So coming from the space of that, I think that reverence, which you definitely have, seeing it as it is, it's something where magic can be created. And we've got to get ourselves into the right space. So often it is dropping the story, dropping out of the mind. We've done enough preparation. Now we've got to just surrender, as you so beautifully just said. Surrender into the process of then listening from the heart and taking action if action is needed from that space. And then holding that container. We set up the container that's partly that like divine masculine. And then it's kind of holding every now and then doing something. But the feminine needs to dance within that space. And to be in the heart it's so beautiful. And like you say, at the end, we're like, huh? What just happened there? Because it's not just it's not just me, my I, that programming. There's definitely, it's our team, as I call it, the team with Cacao, the Spirit of Cacao, and then whatever other allies we already work with, and the co-creation of obviously all the humans in that space, and anything of the highest good that they call in. And it is. I love ceremony for that reason. It's community, the seen and the unseen, and it's very humbling to be in that space, knowing that it's not us actually. It's not solely us. So it's interesting because it's almost like we go on a training to learn, to actually unlearn in a sense, or
Exactly.
to remember and reconnect. It's actually all here.
Yeah, and remembering is such a big, profound thing, you know, like I love the kind of words of like the individual becomes I, when you start to just witness and you kind of turn inwards, and then you also get to see so much outwards because of it. And yeah, like what comes through in the ceremony, like those reflections are again just an inkling of like the process and the journey that unfolds in everyday life. So, you know, finding that surrender and noticing it's not about me, and, you know, noticing how to drop out of here and into here, and having a structure, but not this like set plan for, you know, what's going to unfold. It's the teachings tick very many other boxes in life. And yeah, it's really
yes. And this is for on both sides of being the participant, of course, but also as the facilitator, because I think as a facilitator, we're probably more aware of the build up to a ceremony, and then also the part afterwards, almost like hiking up a mountain, and then being on the top is the actual time and ceremony, and then hiking down the mountain. So it's a ceremony in itself, the building up to ceremony, the actual ceremony time, and the kind of defragging afterwards, or the integration of ceremony afterwards, and we probably have this heightened sense of awareness of that, you know, both sides of it, being in the more the facilitator role, but both sides, you know, it is a mirror for life, and if we can see everything as a teacher and a lesson, then sure, life is profound and beautiful, you know, outside of ceremony space as well as inside. I just wanted to check that I've got like a few questions written down just in case I wanted there's some specific. No, we've talked about everything. Oh yes, I wanted to just like kind of do a few like kind of more fun questions. Like, what were your favorite parts of the training?
My favorite, well, the things that speak loudly to me was when we first when we had our opening ceremony, because that was just like, I had one of the most profound dreams in my life that night. And I was just like, again, like, yo, what just happened? Like, it's, there was so much dialogue in something outside of myself. And that was really beautiful. So having that ceremony in Kenya in the middle of nowhere, and then having that dream that night was also just like, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. I love the theory and learning about it. I need to revisit that just to also check in with certain things, because it's funny now, people know that I've studied cacao and they're like coming at me with these questions, and I'm like, damn, I need to brush up on my theory part. Like, I'm just like, I love like the implementation of it, but there is some strong there's some strong questions that I just want to make sure I'm relaying the right information. But I enjoyed that part. I'm definitely more of like an application person. So when we would do the group work, when we would do our shadow work, that was really beautiful. When we would do our dream work, I just found like, you know, it's one thing doing it by yourself, but again, having a vessel to play in and to share in just allows for many different reflections, and to also see like as a group, we were supposed to be with those exact people, and, you know, like the space that we held, like it was just not by chance. So what we could co-create as a group, and how we could give reflections and share reflections, and, you know, how we were paired up was just, yeah, it was perfect. So I really loved that. And yeah, I guess the dropping in at level 2, and then the dieta was fun, because I love coffee. I'm like guilty pleasure. I love like the ritual of making it in the morning, and, you know, that first step. And I'm like, I really like to believe I'm not addicted to the caffeine, because I wake up and I'm like, but like turning to cacao and finding this pleasure and this like deep reverence for something outside of that, and also just like in the practice of how easy it was to say goodbye to coffee and to sit with my cacao in the morning and journal, and yeah, just the intention that came with it, and yeah, the messages and the teachings way after the training has been incredible.
Beautiful. I just want to speak to that quickly, that thing of the storyline of the coffee. I mean, I used to be there as well, and I still enjoy a coffee from time to time, but that thing of every morning, you know, the ritual of making it. And I think it was actually more that it was the ritual of making something.
Mm.
But I had that story of, oh, it's coffee, it's coffee, it's coffee. And it's so easy actually for us to drop it. It's difficult on one level, especially if there's an addiction to the mental space, to that mental notion. But actually we can change. That's one of our biggest superpowers as humans. We adapt. And we just got to get the mind, on board for that adaptation. And I know a lot of people have also, they found that kind of switch to be much more nourishing. Obviously, on the physical side, if you go into the reasons why, we know why. But as an overall practice, because we can connect a lot if we're working with a ceremonial grade cacao, like we started off, with the whole environmental piece and connecting into the people and saying thank you, and knowing that there's like a really short chain of supply actually between the people that are growing the cacao in such a beautiful way to us preparing it in the morning and drinking it. So yeah, it's such a nourishing practice. But now I have to put you on the spot here. Are you still doing a morning ritual with the cacao, or have you got back to coffee?
I mix it up. So
okay,
I mix it up. I definitely do. What I probably have turned to cacao as an afternoon sort of drink, because, and it's mostly because I intermittent fast. So having cacao, especially with all the things I like to add to it, like now I've got like turmeric and oat milk and cinnamon and coconut blossom sugar and a whole lot of different things. So it's like it's a meal in itself, and that's in the morning. It's like the fast break. I could still like go straight up cacao. I'm just not there yet. It still feels like a hug in the mug the way that I drink it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I always make the differentiation between making a cacao drink for ceremony, and especially ceremony for others, where we want to make sure that there's as little interference as possible between the spirit of cacao. And that's what it is. It's a conversation with spirit and a reconnection into that space of our heart. So we want to try to keep it as pure as possible. But if we just enjoying, if we really have already understood the connection into the energy, we have that relationship developed, and we're enjoying the nourishing component of cacao and its yumminess, and that's going to be your afternoon drink or your breaking of your fast in the morning or whatever it is. It's a very different space. So intention behind it. Like I said on the training so many times, if you're adding that salt, if you're adding that cinnamon, if you're adding that plant milk, know why. Know why you're adding it. There's nothing wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's just know why. If you're able to answer that for me, and I ask you why you add that, and you had an answer, like, sure, cool, that's your way this morning, because that's what you need. So this leads me to then, I think, the final question I have for you to see if you have anything else you want to share. What at the moment is your favorite cacao recipe, or a favorite you've had recently?
I've just recently discovered turmeric and cacao, and for me, it just feels like I'm having something delicious, and then I'm having something healthy. Like my body's just like So,
Nice.
so at the moment, this is cacao, turmeric, black pepper, cinnamon, mesquite, raw mesquite, a little bit of salt, and then either oat milk or coconut milk, and water, and honey or coconut blossom sugar.
That is a meal. Damn. That's a meal.
It's food. It's just like it literally is a hug in a mug, and it's just like it feels like my body like thank you for that.
Yeah. And if the body and the heart says yes, then go for it. So I mean, I'm out of questions. Is there anything that you feel you would like to share into the space?
I actually just remembered that another one of my favorite things was I missed the closing ceremony, which I was really upset about. I couldn't make it, which was the group container, but you kindly went out of your way to, for me to book a ceremony with you to close it, and sitting in ceremony with you in Kirstenbosch Gardens and closing off the vessel of the cacao journey was just like bliss. Every time I drive past that little entrance, I'm just like, yeah, my heart just like has that resonance of that day, and it was extremely special, and that was a very deep ceremony. So yeah, thank you for the beautiful work that you do. From the time that I first met you outside of ceremony, and we sat opposite each other, and we were just like, yeah, it was like I'm going to do my training with you. So here we
Yeah.
are, and it's like a year
Good,
later.
sister.
And yeah, I'm really grateful.
Yeah. Absolute ditto on that. It just when I remember there was a click when we were at Bodikaya, for those of you in the Cape area that know that. And we had a little chat, but then in the morning, without us knowing it, both Trace and I went to the little dam there for our morning skinny dip before sunrise. And we just bumped into each other, but we just were like, morning, morning. And we just quietly, without having to say, oh, you know, I don't want to talk, or I'm here doing my own thing. We just kind of got it. And I think you were finishing up, and then I just arrived. And it was just such a beautiful moment of like recognizing each other, but just allowing each other to be in the space. And then, yeah, that conversation that happened afterwards. So very beautiful. And then the whole time together actually closed then in the beautiful garden. So it has been a beautiful time together, online and in person, and still continues to be.
Yeah.
So thank you so, so much, Trace. Thank you so much for everything. And you actually have one of the Cacao statues as well. There's not too many of those in South Africa. So
There she is.
there she is. Yeah, yeah. Bring her here. My Cacao's got way too many things on her. I'm going to leave her there. Oh, look how cute she is.
She's so beautiful.
She's so cute. She's so cheeky. I love her.
She's a force in the room, hey? And people are quite amused by her because they're just like, yeah, I was just playing with her boobs.
Yeah.
Her little cacao
There's memories.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fruitful.
Awesome. So, thank you so much for your time, Trace. Anybody that is listening in from Cape Cacao side that doesn't know Tracy-Lee yet, go give her a follow. She does amazing things. Way too many things to actually give in a synopsis here. So you can go follow her and see what she does. And then Trace, I'm gonna let you go, and then I'm just gonna give a bit more information for anybody that wants to know about the cacao training. So I'll just stay on for another 2 minutes. But thank you so much, sister. Blessings for the rest of your day.
Thank you, Fran. Cheers. Bye.
All right. So we are coming up to 2 weeks. 2 weeks until our cacao training bookings close. We have, I think, through 2 or 3 more on the early bird discounted rates available. So the link is in the bio, all the information is on the website. The price that is currently there is the early bird discounted rate. If you're going to get your deposit, you can do payment installments. You can join level 1 and then decide later on if you want to do level 2. You don't have to decide now. What else? Level 1 is 6 weeks. Level 1 and 2 is 3 months with me. So this is what Trace did, and she did it online. And as you heard, she was traveling all over the place. Kenya being the start of her training time with us, and she was there. I still remember her sitting with this beautiful, very, very vibrant red scarf around her head, and I knew she was in Kenya. So I was like, wow, it's very Bedouin-like, because also she was out in the rural areas. So yeah, it can be done from anywhere, really, literally. If where there's a will, there's a way. Any questions? We'll be having an open house on Sunday evening. So you can sign up. The link is also in the bio for that. We'll be having that on Zoom. So you do have to register for that if you'd like to join. And then you can just shoot through any questions at me. I'll be there for a good 45 minutes just answering things. Otherwise, pop us an email, send us a DM, and we'll definitely get back to you. This will be the 13th of our signature cacao training as a group. We also offer private trainings on request. We currently have a couple of students in the private containers with us, so that's just when we have availability for that. Otherwise, the group containers, there's this one happening, and then I think only one more scheduled for later this year. But you never know what happens in the rest of the year. Things might change. So if you're on the fence about it and you're thinking, oh, I might not be able to make one of the days, can I get a recording? What's happening with the ceremonies online? What's that all about anyways? And we do have a FAQ section at the bottom of the cacao training page on the website. Otherwise, just shoot through a question in an email or a DM and we'll get back to you. Otherwise, join the open house on Sunday. And thank you so much to everybody that's been listening so far. Sending you much love from my heart to yours, and wishing you a beautiful day into evening into upcoming weekend. Lots of love.